Hello and welcome to Wisconsin in Focus, powered by the Center Square. I'm JD Davidson, regional editor for the Center Square. Joining me today is Ben Yount, Wisconsin contributor for the Center Square. Ben, how are things today?
Well, we're getting ready for our second 6 inches of snow in a week, and so my driveway is going to have to figure out a way to shovel itself.
When you figure that away, please send it my way, because winter has decided to show up.
Well, it's no fun. Yeah, I'm done with this.
We're recording this on Thursday, January 11th, 2024. Hey, Ben, Wisconsin seems to be significantly behind many of its neighboring states and others in the Midwest when it comes to legal marijuana use, either recreational or medical. More and more states are expanding marijuana availability. Wisconsin just seems to keep debating limited medical usage, and even that's getting some criticism. What's the latest in Madison?
There is just something about marijuana in this state. And you're right. Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, they've all gone to fully legal, recreational, smoke it if you've got it. And Wisconsin has been stuck on this idea of declaring marijuana medicine for the better part of a decade plus. This may change that this week we had a group of Republicans, mostly out of the Assembly, introduce a plan that would create a state-run, mostly medical marijuana program that would be only for some people and would cover only some marijuana products. And it's the sums in that statement, in those sentences, that have Republicans and Democrats criticizing this bill. But essentially what you have is you have a governor who has made it one of his priorities to fully legally recognize and open up the marijuana market. He wants to be just like Illinois, where you can walk into any dispensary and grab yourself an ounce and take it out to the lake and roll yourself a joint and enjoy a concert. Republicans have been very, very wary for years about fully legal pot. And so we're sort of stuck. The governor, Tony Evers, says he may support this limited medical marijuana program, most likely because it will lead to a fully legal marijuana program down the road. That's generally how it works. But just earlier today, the top Republican in the Senate, Devin LeMahieu, said that because this plan relies on state-run marijuana dispensaries, that's a non-starter with most senators. So while this may pass the Assembly and may be the first step towards eventually maybe getting something, don't expect to see people in Wisconsin using legal marijuana anytime soon.
You know, it's interesting to me, and I can speak pretty confidently about Ohio. Ohio voters just passed legal recreational marijuana in November with a 60% approval rating. Leading up to that in Ohio, the last 2 years, it was Republicans pushing for expansion of medical marijuana, and both Democrats and Republicans pushing for legal marijuana. Republicans didn't have an issue with the vote in Ohio. They have an issue about how things are going to run in creating a free market for legal marijuana. I guess I'm still hung up on what is holding back Wisconsin Republicans from at least having a pretty significant medical marijuana program in the state.
Colorado, San Francisco, Illinois, that whenever we start talking about marijuana in Wisconsin, sheriffs, local police departments, they come out and they say, look, we don't want more of this in our communities. We don't want more high schoolers smoking dope behind the Quick Trip. We don't want this to expand. And they point to places like Colorado or San Francisco that started out with, medical or decriminalized marijuana. And now you have essentially open air drug markets in some of these cities. I was in Illinois. I was covering the legislature in Illinois when they adopted their medical marijuana program. And it was much more broad than this. But I remember State Rep Lou Lang saying, this is medical only. This is medical only. This is medical only. Within 5 years, Illinois was introducing a plan to go to fully legal recreational marijuana. And I think that Republicans understand that. They see this, they've seen this movie before. They know where this is going. And that's why they're trying to control it for as long as they can. This is a relatively popular idea when you ask the people. But I mean, as you can tell by just turning on most movie channels, America's, appetite for pot has not yet been quenched. And so, the idea of legal marijuana is always going to be popular among voters, just kind of like the idea of getting free money or puppy dog kisses and ice cream cones. It's how it works. And the idea of how much money do you make versus how much money do you spend, that's what we're seeing now in states like Illinois and Colorado and California, where they're having to deal with the effects, the impact of fully legal marijuana. Because, I as a free market guy, if I'm going to pay 25% more down at the legal dispensary or 25% less from JoJo on the corner, everybody knows where you're going to go for the cheapest price.
Sure. Is there a way in Wisconsin for citizens to get an initiative on the ballot without going through the assembly?
No, we don't have some sort of direct referendum. You see this from time to time in off-year elections that cities will put this on the ballot advisory referendums, but we're not like California where we can't just get together and say, vote on this and cut the legislature out. It's not how the Constitution works here.
That's interesting because in Ohio, that's how it worked. It was a citizen-led initiative that passed.
If that was the case, Madison alone could have carried the marijuana vote. And look, it is not casting dispersions. Madison is a college town, and there are an awful lot of college kids who would love to know that they could spark up a joint and not ever have to worry about a ticket or a fine or being arrested or having something on their record. Look, you've done this long enough. I've done this long enough. America's attitudes towards marijuana have changed over the years. And I think that state laws, what is it, 20 something states now, more than 20 states allow marijuana as medicine. And we're getting 20 or more that have legalized it outright. And, that's a tipping point. That's a tipping point in this country.
It's 23 states. Ohio was the 23rd. This will be an interesting debate throughout the year, I'm sure. That's all the time we have right now. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. For Ben Young, I'm JD Davidson. Thanks for listening, and please subscribe.
Like to stay informed on the go? Audible has an ever-growing selection of audiobooks at your fingertips. Whether it's that classic you've been meaning to get to or the new release you've been waiting for, follow the link in our show description to get 30 days of Audible free.